Yo, what's up? Welcome to another build guide. So we are still at early league, so that's why I wanted to share you a cheap, efficient, fast and fun mapper character. This is also the character that I killed Sirus and the highest tier Conquerors, tier 14, 15, 16, whatever. And I am still working on Atlas level 8, so the clips are on Atlas level 5, 4, the final Guardians, alright? So you can also kill bosses with this character. Obviously my investment is, I believe, around 10x, maybe at most 15, I'm not sure, but under 15 Exile, alright? Considering low budget, that's not very expensive. In the end, I will also maybe upgrade this character, so it can also be a powerful boss killer, but it gets the job done. The mapping is so much fun, 10 out of 10. We can maybe say godlike map clear, because Explosive Arrow is one of the best map clearers in the game. So let's just check what we are using, the items. This is gonna be a quick guide probably, because this is not finished, this is not high budget. You can just start playing with this with low budget. So first of all, the bow, that's Opus, very cheap bow. Mine is actually 5 link. You can get this as 6 link. You only need a single 6 link for this build to just start playing. But you have to do gem swapping at big bosses, even at maybe high tier map bosses, because some bosses will take some time, alright, with GMP attached. Normally you want to use maybe barrage support for single target, because explosive arrow is something that you need to actually stick it to the boss. You can actually stick up to 20 fuses and then they will just explode at the same time, dealing a lot of damage. So that's why you have to just stick all the fuses, arrows to the target as soon as possible. So a barrage support is way better for single target DPS. If you are playing with only single 6 link, you cannot do that unfortunately while mapping. So in the end I will also do that maybe if I continue with the character. So make sure that you also get a second 6 link, a body armor obviously, or just get a Death Opus 6 link, because it is way cheaper at league start. The reason we are using this bow because it has a lot of crit chance and 2 additional arrows, so we can actually stick more arrows as soon as possible, because you only have 1 second to stick as much as arrows possible. 20 arrows are normally the maximum count. So you right now I actually shoot 7 arrows with single attack. So if I can just do 3 attacks under a second, I can just stick all those 20 fuses for maximum DPS. So make sure that you can attack 3 times in a second. Maybe get some attack speed on the talent tree. Right now I believe 2.9 or something like that attack speed, not even 3. But it works, for the budget it is fine. Later on we want to use a rare bow with a higher attack speed, so you can easily push the 3 attacks per second. So you will actually have better boss DPS. Also consider using Divergent Explosive Arrow later on, which actually increases the maximum fuse count from 20 to 24. So if you have a higher arrow count, or maybe a higher attack speed bow later on, that's actually a good DPS increase. For Quiver, obviously additional arrow. Try to get spike point quivers for some crit chance. If you have the budget, just start adding life, crit multiplier. Later on, elemental damage with attacks, maybe crit chance. So if you just put too much stuff, this is actually a very expensive quiver. It's gonna get expensive, alright? So the cheapest ones are like 80 chaos, 100 chaos, around 1 exile. This is one of the expensive pieces that we are using. But make sure that you get the additional arrow and some other good stats on a spike point quiver. Do not get piercing, penetrating quiver, that's not gonna be good. So yes, spike point is probably your best choice. Helmet, I am just using a rare helmet to get some intelligence and other stats. I am also using attack speed enchant for explosive arrow, because we want attack speed on this build. If you are missing intelligence, you can just use essence of spite, I believe. Maybe I will just put the picture, the essence, on the screen. I just used that actually a couple of times, got some life and resist, and that was it actually for me. Nothing even special, no influence. I just bought the base for 40 chaos, used a couple of essences, and bam, that's it, under 50 chaos. Cheap helmet. You can also use a Devoto if you want to be faster, or a Star Conjas helmet. The unique options, they are good. But if you want some maybe extra life, intelligence or resist, whatever, a rare helmet is gonna be actually better. You can actually put intelligence on your jewelry. So Don't be afraid. This is just something that I had to do because I already had my rings ready. Body armor, because I had a 6-link carcass check on my seismic trap build. That's why I stick to this. It also helps with map clear because it gives a lot of area effect and area damage that also works. But normally this is not something that you should buy. If you have the budget ready, if you don't have any items ready, do not buy this. But if you already have this, just use this as a low budget option. You can also easy color this. This is actually my only 6-link. My bow is not 6-link, alright. But normally a bow, Death's Opus 6-link is actually cheaper. So if you want to start with one 6-link, just go for Death's Opus, alright? And just use a chest that you want. So carcass check is not that bad, but obviously a low budget option. If you have the budget, Farol's Fur might be way better. If you also have a good budget, a double influence chest maybe, attack save crit, and apply additional curse. That's probably gonna be the best choice. And maybe Farol's Fur again, that's also a good chest. But you also need to put Aspect of Cat on one of your items. And finally, I am using a ballista setup. We are gonna check that at the gem section. If you don't want to use that, it doesn't actually do that much at mapping. You can also use a Calm's Heart, 500, 500 life, flat life, so a lot of life actually. Also fire damage, so good for this build. You can easily use this. This is also cheap as far as I know, so yeah, a good alternative. For gloves, I am using Tomb Fist because it's a low budget item. Make sure you get 2 socket ones. It's gonna be a little more expensive, let's say. The 1 socket ones are like 1 chaos, 2 socket ones were 40-50 chaos, I believe, when I bought them. Maybe they are even cheaper now because normally these gloves are very cheap. You have to socket 1 murderous and 1 searching eye jewel. So you can actually intimidate and maim the enemies. Intimidate obviously provides 10% increased damage taken, so it's gonna be good DPS. Later on, if you want to invest even further, just get a maximum +1 frenzy charge gloves with maybe attack speed, life, resist, whatever you can fit, or even get maybe a double influenced one with calling strike plus frenzy charge maybe. So that's gonna be your high budget in the end, but for low budget, Tomb Fist is actually enough. For the jewels themselves, you know, just get life, fire damage to attacks, fire damage to bow attacks, crit multiplier, or damage penetrate 2% elemental resistances. If you haven't killed recently, that's actually a good bossing DPS, you know. And attack speed if you have crit recently, stuff like that. These are your stats on your Abyss jewels. Boots, just a 2-tone boots that I actually bought for very cheap. Life, resist, movement speed. And I also put avoid elemental ailments so that I can actually keep my elemental element avoidance, because in 3.15 all the classes got nerfed. So Raider now provides 50% avoid ailments, so you actually need to get some more from items and talent trees. That's why I picked boots for that. That's how I have 98% avoidance, so pretty much all the time. I actually haven't seen getting, you know, shocked or whatever with that 2% chance. So 98% is good to go, unless you are playing hardcore or whatever. So that's why it is enough for softcore. If you have a higher budget later on, just get the boots with tailwind or elusive, or both. Obviously that's gonna be your high end upgrade. If you bother doing labyrinth, damage penetrates if you haven't killed recently is your best enchant. That's a very rare enchant, so maybe get that once you have a very good boot, you know. And I am using lightning damage if you haven't killed recently. That also works, but this is a fire build, so yeah, it provides DPS, but that's not the best enchant because it is very easy to get. You know, this enchant has a higher weighting. That's why I am using this as a lower budget option. Amulet, you can either use rare amulets with +1 level of fire gems or dexterity gems, or both of them at the same time, because explosive arrow is a dexterity and fire gem. So you actually need to increase the gem level so you can actually achieve higher DPS. This build is actually similar to elemental hit. So the higher the gem level, the higher the base damage of the skill is gonna be. These elemental hit and explosive arrow are like spell builds. The gem level is very important. That's why I am using a rare amulet with +1 fire gems. Also dexterity gems, that also works, or get both once you have the budget later on. Crit multiplier is also good. Life and resistances. For the base, pick something with strength or intelligence because those two attributes are the ones that this character is gonna miss. So don't get anything with dexterity, it doesn't matter. Just get strength and intelligence bases. You can also use Zof's blood for some, conversion, so that Sophos also can actually do some work, plus fire penetration. But this is an expensive amulet because it is still early league. So a rare amulet is actually way cheaper and provides the same DPS if you also get something similar to mine, with also crit multiplier. They actually provide almost the same DPS. So a rare amulet is way cheaper for lower budget. For Anoint, use a lava lash for cheaper. It only requires 1 golden oil. That's not very, very expensive, So just get lava lash. That's probably your best bet for lower budget. Rings. I'm using flammability curse, so I don't have to cast anything myself. That's why I am using this kind of rings. Flammability curse on one of your rings. Life. Elemental damage with attacks, that's a good way to increase your DPS. If you can fit in more stuff, I actually sniped this for very cheap. I also put crit multiplier. So just get at least flammability plus 1 DPS stat. Elemental damage with attacks or crit multiplier. Then life and resist, whatever you can fit. Other ring just to keep my resistances. Life, resist. Elemental damage with attacks. I also got attack speed, I was lucky maybe. But this was also very cheap, maybe like 40 chaos, I believe. So this kind of all my items are very cheap actually. Only the Quiver was like 1 Exalt, I believe. Also we have a 6 link. All the other items are less than an Exalt. This is a low budget build. I also put non-channel skills have -7 mana cost, which you don't actually need, but having maybe one of them is actually good. So you can actually reserve more mana for your precision. So maybe try to get that. You can also use, we are gonna check that in the talent tree maybe, but replica Conquerors efficiency, I believe the name of the jewel, that actually lowers the cost of mana cost of the skills by 9. So that's also a good jewel maybe, but it's a waste of jewel slot, But if you can just use that, the worst scenario, so you can fix that mana issue if you cannot put any mana cost on your jewelry. Finally, belt. Stygian wise, obviously for extra socket, again put a searching eye jewel or murderous eye jewel. I already explained the stats early on in the glows section. Life, resistances and elemental damage with attack skills, that's it. Let's also check the talent tree in the path of building, and that's gonna be it. Hopefully this is gonna be a quick guide, So first of all, Raider. If you just leveled the character, just get Way of Poacher first, so you can generate frenzy charges even on boss fights. I actually skipped this for the last labyrinth because I wanted to be tankier, so I went like this, First labyrinth, then this quartz infusion, dodge and phasing, so I can move through enemies, so you don't get body blocked, which is very good. Plus lots of dodge. Then I got this before starting maps. Avoid ailments while phasing. Exposure, so you don't have to use something like Wave of Conviction, so you can get the damage bonus all the times. Plus enemies have less accuracy, so you are actually way tankier. Because this got nerfed in 3.15 along with the other ascendancies, Hierophant, Pathfinder, all of them got nerfed, Inquisitor. This is right now 50%, so you actually need to get the rest on the talent tree and your items. I already explained that. I put 18% on my boots and the rest is on the talent tree. I'm gonna show it after this. So yeah, finally, Uber Labyrinth, I got this. Actually, at first I started playing with this because Perma Onslaught, but this actually got nerfed. It used to have Onslaught effect. Not very powerful these days, but if you want to skip Silver Flask, maybe early on, just play like this. Later on, once you get more frenzy charges from talent tree, maybe items, this is gonna be way better because per frenzy charge, lots of bonus, attack speed, attack damage, and also movement speed. And yeah, this is how I played in the end. So let's check the other elemental avoidance notables here. 8%, 4, 4, 4. I'm not using this, you don't need this in while playing a raider. Also 10% here. This also provides elemental damage, so works for this build. And finally, boots. Bootcraft. That's how I am actually at 98%, so I'm missing 2% actually, which is not a problem. Because I am playing in softcore, it doesn't matter. And the other stuff on talent tree, let's see if there are anything special. Intuitive leap, so you don't have to get these notables by using a lot of points. This actually saves you, what's this, 2, 4, 5, 7 points. So definitely worth the investment. This is like 60 KS, I believe, a little expensive right now. You can maybe get this later on. This is not needed to play the build, you know. You just spend maybe some extra points because you have to go like this, you know. So that's why this is in the end a good investment. Let's just check if we have anything special. Just friends charges, life, crit, whatever. Elemental damage notables here, penetration, dodge obviously. Bow, wheel here, lots of crit and attack speed. And yeah, finally, cluster jewel. These are also the same stuff, nothing special. So large cluster, only 2 notables, very cheap, both for 20k, so I can keep my strength. If you are missing strength or intelligence, maybe this is a good place to put. Because if you get 2 notable ones for very cheaper, you know, 5 strength, 10 and 15 strength, very good. So I can easily keep my strength for my gems. Fuel the fight, so you can leech mana. If you don't put that, you have to actually get this. So at early game, just pick this. You want this, alright. Later on, if you get a cluster jewel like this, or maybe get a different cluster jewel and stick to this point here. You can also do that if you want, but this cluster is good for low budget. Fuel the fight, mana leech, martial prowess, attack damage, attack speed and accuracy. All of them works for this build, very good. So you can actually increase that accuracy. Mine is not even capped, so if you can cap your accuracy, it is gonna be very good. If your accuracy is lower than 95%, make sure you put accuracy on one of your items. A ring is a very good place to put. Or if you are playing with a rare gloves, you can also do that, or a helmet. For mediums, this is the only expensive medium I use. Pressure point, quick getaway, these are like best in slots for archer builds. So this is probably the most expensive piece that I am using. 100 chaos, I believe it was when I bought it a couple of days earlier. You can get this later on, it doesn't matter. This is not needed to, you know, play the build. Just buy this later on. Just finish your gear first. You can just get the clusters later on. This is the highest, this is the most expensive thing I am using, alright. And it's also increasing in prices because maybe people started playing archers, maybe they farmed enough currency. Because archer builds, unfortunately, isn't that good with low budget. But this is an exception. This is like god tier mapper character with low budget. Explosive arrow is so much powerful. Pressure points, that's why this is expensive. Double damage chance and loss of crit. Quick getaway, attack speed, movement speed, and again crit chance. You can also get pressure point plus something else if it is way cheaper. So you can also do that. Do not try to get everything as same, you know. Just check the POE database website. Just check the good ones, or you can also craft something in here, you know, item section. You can also do that. Just try to get some good stuff, alright. My other medium jewel is actually different because this was way cheaper. Again, this is a little expensive, so I bought this. Also, this applies Culling Strike, so a curse base, 4 or 5 notables. Same goes for the other one. Just don't get a 6 notable medium jewel, alright, that is bad. Wish for that. Culling Strike against cursed enemies. We are cursing with Flammability Ring. You can also maybe use Assassin Mark Curse Ring, by the way, that's also good. I picked Flammability because I thought I will need more penetration. Evil Eye. Enemies you curse take 5% increased damage plus blind. So this is good for mapping. You are going to be way tankier. And with Culling Strike you can kill bosses faster, especially Sirus, you know, those kind of harder bosses. Just kill them faster at their last phase, you know. And way cheaper. This jewel was very, very cheap. And finally, I'm actually using one Fatal, by the way. This is a talent tree for 94 levels. I am right now 92. So I'm gonna fix this before releasing the video. I'm actually using only one Fatal, but my life is actually higher. So I think there is something wrong with the tree right now. I'm gonna fix it before. In the bed of building, you are gonna see the one that I am using. This was like a theory craft. That's why this was wrong actually. I'm using one normal jewel here. And finally one Fatal. If you have a higher level, you know, just level and put 2 Fatals, alright, that's fine. Push that 5k life. Small cluster, life base, Fatal. Because Fatal provides the most life, that's why these are a little expensive. Again, something like 100 chaos. So just get the clusters later on, just finish your gear first and buy the clusters later on. And finally, you can also get a Watcher's Eye later on. Let's just craft it here. Watcher's Eye. Let's just also show that. Because we are using Anger Aura, a crit multiplier for cheaper, but this is not the best. But you can get this crit multiplier while affected by anger. The best one is obviously fire penetration. So make sure you get that once you have the budget. These are going down in prices. I just bought mine yesterday. 15% penetration. Around 1.5 Exile right now. Not that expensive for a Watcher's Eye, and it's gonna be even cheaper probably in a couple of days. Let's just check maybe the gems real quick. I will just maybe explain the gem swaps, whatever. Explosive arrow while mapping. Because I only have one single 6-link, I have to do gem swap at bosses. Normally in maps I play like this. L damage attacks for more element damage. Crit damage, these two gems got buffed in 3.15, so definitely powerful choices. Lot of crit strike chance, lot of crit damage. Inspiration to reduce the mana cost plus elemental damage. Explosive arrow obviously. And GMP while mapping. So at bosses, just swap the gems, greater multiple projectiles with barrage support. So you can just stick those 20 fuses. And that's pretty much it. If you have a good crit chance, maybe you are using Assassin Mark or you have a better crit gear, you can also use probably fire penetration. Mirage Archer is good for mapping, but for bossing probably fire penetration is your best choice. You can also use hypothermia because we are using skitter bots. So let's check our auras. Anger because this is a fire build. Precision, just level this one and lock this by using the right click, on your mouse. So you can lock a gem and prevent it from gaining levels. Once you have, a good, comfortable mana. So make sure that you level this according to your choice, You can use them maybe level 10 or 5, whatever. So it is up to you. I can't do anything. I can say anything, alright? And finally, summon skitter bots. Because these bots chills and shocks enemies, we are just using this for the shock. Chill obviously helps, but not needed. So the shock obviously increases damage taken by 17%. And you can even see that in game right now. They added that in 3.15. So you will notice that the monster will have a shock icon. 17% on it. So you know that you are actually getting some damage bonus from these skitter bots. I'm also using an ensnaring arrow setup so I can slow the enemies. Using this for only bosses, by the way. Plus ballista totem, so I'm not casting these. Ballistas are doing multiple totems, so I can summon more totems at once. And the combustion, so whenever these totems ignite, which is pretty much instantly, I gain 10% penetration. So this actually provides some DPS. If you want to play with Calm Heart, because you only need a single 6-link while mapping, just skip this setup maybe. We also have dash. Again, I forgot to edit everything. It's gonna be final once the video is ready. Dash second wind in my gloves because it was like 2-socket. That's why it is on my gloves. So this is my mobility skill. You can also use blink arrow because dash got nerfed and flame dash also got nerfed. Their cooldowns are, I believe they have a longer cooldown now, yeah. So maybe you can also use a blink arrow if you like that. So that's also a mobility skill for archer builds. But it has 3-second cooldown, but you can actually go a higher, longer distance, yeah. So a blink arrow maybe is better if you like it. And that's pretty much it. For Pantheons, if you are curious, using Lunaris, avoid projectiles, movement speed, dodge attack spell, and avoid projectiles that have chained. While mapping, this can actually help because if you summon your totems, if you use ensnaring arrow totems like I do, if the map has chain modifier, if any projectiles are, getting hit by those totems, you can actually get chained and also get that same projectile, so which is not very good. You can just take additional damage, So if you are using totems, that chain upgrade is actually very good while mapping. For miner, I am using Aberrat, so unaffected by Burning Ground. You can also use this. Cannot be blinded, cannot be maimed. My intuitive leap actually cannot be maimed, so this is not that important for me. So maim immunity is actually very good, a good quality of life improvement, so I highly suggest that. And that's pretty much it for this guide. So if I just continue with this character, maybe push it through higher budget, I will obviously shoot a new video. So this is like a cheaper, efficient Atlas level 5, 6, whatever, even 8, once you maybe even invest a little more. Mapper and Bosser, very powerful character. Lots of people should play this, you know. It's very, very fun. And Explosive Arrow also got buffed. I don't think I mentioned that at leak video start, you know, start of the video, but I'm not sure. Explosive Arrow actually got buffed in 3.15. So definitely, maybe better, yeah. But everything else got nerfed, so I don't know, yeah. We are gonna see later on if I invest more. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like. You can also join my Discord. We chat all the time. And don't miss anything if I, you know, sometimes I just do like straw polls, you know, talk to people to get some ideas, whatever. So yeah, don't miss those. And I will see you later. Bye bye.